Hello and welcome back to The American Individual. I'm your host Dylan, and today we have a new video for you guys. And in this video we will be covering the current state of the union in another episode of News Weekly-ish. We will be looking at the economic, military, health, and general state of our great nation. But before we get into this video, make sure you like and subscribe, as well as check out the merch store if you want to support the channel. Anyways, let's get into the video. Currently, we are in for a rough couple of years economically, with inflation at a record high of 8.5% in March and 8.1% in April. I bet your wallet's also been feeling it, but the price of gas hit a record high of $4.598 a gallon as of 5/24/2022. And the value of the dollar is decreasing at an unprecedented rate with this inflation, and the stock market has been very volatile recently with poor earnings at a lot of big companies because of these rising production costs. Additionally, unemployment has not significantly improved since the start of the pandemic, with many people still not interested in working because of the government benefits. Now, the rates themselves may have decreased a little bit since last year, but anecdotally, you could go to probably any business, like I could in my area, and all of them would probably say, yes, we need more workers. The reality is people are working more than one job, and we have summer construction jobs that have just been opened up, so a lot of people are going off unemployment from that. But now the amount of positions that still need to be filled is astronomically high. And lastly, the federal government continues to think it's a good idea to keep spending more and more money, adding fuel to the fire of this burning ship that is our country's economy. Now, I am not an economist, but I would guess that we are headed towards the hard landing of a bad recession, just like the Titanic headed towards an iceberg. Militarily, the globe is in a state of high alert. The Russia-Ukraine war continues as we funnel billions of dollars in aid and weapons to the Ukrainians. And don't forget all the warriors on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter who changed their bios and profile pics to pictures of the Ukrainian flag. North Korea has also gone forward and has been more aggressive in its testing of its missiles, potentially capable of reaching the US, but Kim Jong-un is as capable as a 75-year-old man making love to his wife without Viagra. China has also continued its quest for Taiwan by getting bolder in its exercises, and former Vice President Joe Biden hasn't done us any favors by being indecisive in what our position is on Taiwan. For anyone who doesn't know, Taiwan is probably by far the most important strategic country for us in the whole of Southeast Asia. Sorry, Japan. Because of the circuitry and microcontrollers they provide to us and the world, if China took them over, they could single-handedly destroy our economy and many European nations as well. But that's if the Democrats don't do that first. Worst of all, as sad as I am to say, our military may not be quite the best like it used to be. The woke generals pushing equity and inclusion in the armed forces are slowly eroding at the fabric and the strength of them, and they should honestly be arrested because our military needs to be an elite fighting force, not an inclusive club for everyone. We need to raise the physical standards and ensure we have people who will not have mental breakdowns on the battlefield if necessary. And our special forces will be fine, as they always have been, because they have maintained their high standards, but I'm thinking more of some of the general forces. They may be in trouble if some of their members are struggling to do a 2-minute plank. So overall, we may or may not be headed for World War III, and if we get cocky, we may not be able to hold on to our undefeated World War champ title, which would be bad for us, for freedom, and for the world, because we're the only ones that are truly free. In terms of health, COVID has almost gone away, but there's still a few pockets of brainwashed folks scared they are going to die from this less than 1% death rate virus. Mental health problems in young people are still at a horribly high rate, and no one seems to care or is talking about it, so there might be a future video for me talking about that whole issue. There's also a monkeypox outbreak, but what the media won't tell you is that, like AIDS, it has been mostly affecting homosexuals who attended an orgy festival in Europe. So as long as you don't have gay sex, you're probably fine. Now, generally, the division between people in the United States is higher than ever. With it being 2 years since the death of George Floyd, race relations are just as bad, if not worse, as 2020. The media keeps stirring people up into frenzies of hating each other over just little tragedies that we shouldn't be focusing on the race of them. We should be focusing on the tragedy themselves. And they do this to keep the ratings up and keep people angry going into the midterms. Abortion has also been a hot topic as someone illegally leaked the opinion of the Supreme Court on Roe v. Wade, hinting they planned on overturning it. Now, personally, I think that would be a good thing because it would just give the power back to the states, but this sparked a slew of violent protests as pro-life and pro-abortion people clashed. And I'll give you a hint, most of the violence was started by people that were pro-abortion. Lastly, we are headed towards potential food shortages or increased prices of food coming this fall for many reasons, but I'll just list them here for you. So, 1. Ukraine-Russia conflict has upset the global food supply, meaning there will be less food for other nations, and being the good guys that we are, we will always send aid to other nations before helping ourselves. And unlike what you're supposed to do with an oxygen mask on airplanes, we think this is still a good idea. Next, the price of diesel has skyrocketed along with gas, so the cost of hauling food and livestock to places will increase the cost of said food drastically. Fertilizer has decreased in supply around the world and therefore has increased in price, and which means there will be smaller yields for farmers and a higher price of foods in the US. Lastly, farmers have been slow to get into the fields in much of the northern Midwestern United States due to poor weather, meaning potentially smaller yields and lower harvests in the fall. Now, I don't want any of you to be discouraged. Keep your chin up, King. By hearing the troubled state our nation is in, most of these things are out of our control, so there's really nothing you can do about it. However, I want all of you to know, if you don't already, that elections clearly have consequences. And going into the midterms, please vote for conservatives. And man, do I miss the orange man. But we are on the brink of World War III, famines, economic disaster, but there are still some things you can do to protect yourself and your family. One thing I would do is check out the AmericanIndividual.store. No, I'm kidding. One thing I would do is have a 3 to 6 month supply of food and water in case of shortages. Now, this isn't me just being a prepper. That's just something you should always have in case, there was an ice storm and you lost power, or in many other cases, this is just a good idea in general. Also, diversify your assets if you can and try to pay off all your debts, because there could be some job losses and you don't want to be paying for a brand new car when you don't have a job. Lastly, we're going to get a little faith-based here, but in the Bible, it talks about the end times, there being rumors of wars, famines, diseases, and death. Now, I'm not saying the end times are happening right now, okay? But I would try to ensure your faith with God. Because if it's the end and you didn't make your peace and repent, then I am very sorry for you, because you'll be spending an eternity in hell. But there's always hope. So get out there, repent, go out and vote. Make sure that these crazy people that are running our country don't ever touch office again. And just, prepare and pray, because really there isn't anything you can do except what you can control. Thank you for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content, as well as check out the merch store if you want to see this channel grow and improve. Most importantly, have a good night.